Sorry, weren't ready. Now we're ready? Okay. Ujuanin, Minogajeb. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. We're having our council meeting on a Monday due to scheduling, so we apologize for not keeping it on our Wednesday schedule. But I'd like to welcome everybody on a nice, wonderful, beautiful Monday morning. Sun is shining, mosquitoes are out, so it's good to go. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 9:07 a.m. And as always, we start our meetings out in a good way. We have our spiritual advisor, Mr. Vern Adams, here today. So Vern, the floor is yours.
Kathy Chavers, Tara Gishik,
Here.
Travis Morrison,
Here.
Shane Drift,
Omanungum.
Robert Moore.
Here.
Terry Morrison is going to do Jill Schukart's. And then on the consent agenda for the approve the contract for Net Lake PD lawn services for Jordan, it should be 301, not 400.
Any other additions?
I know that last week I asked for Jeff and mine to be added to the meeting agenda regarding marijuana, but I think that they're probably most likely not prepared. So if we could probably put them on the next agenda, that'd be great. Thank you. Move.
Second.
Aye. questions I have is regarding the Tribal First as the insurance company for the tribal government and also the Fortune Bay. Because I know that when we started to put the smoke shop in place, that then the original insurance company wouldn't insure us. But I was just kind of wondering how that's going since they took over.
Good morning. We're still kind of in the transition process with them. We had to get some declaration pages. We haven't gotten like the insurance card for the vehicles yet. So and that's typical every time we renew our insurance. There's a lag kind of on stuff. We haven't had any claims, so I don't know how they're on the processing claim. I believe, well, I know that there was a loss control gentleman that came last Thursday and toured this building, but they worked with the maintenance staff. And there are some things that we do have to change for insurance wise. And I think Robbie knows what those are. The only thing that we did is that, remember when we were doing it, we were questioning the malpractice insurance. We also renewed with our other it was through Arch, it wasn't through Travelers. And it was a good thing that we renewed because the Tribal First wouldn't list the individual providers on the insurance to be submitted, because you have to submit that to the insurance companies to get reimbursement. So we did buy the other policy too, because we were kind of questioning it because Tribal First was like $300 for their malpractice, where our other company, it was about $20,000 a year. And so we just stayed with it and to make sure. So we are covered and we're, doing that. So we're making transitions still. I can't answer for the Fortune Bay side.
Miigwech, Kim. Any other questions or comments on the minutes?
Yes, and then the other thing too is when we talked about the Sedan mine exhibits and we all expressed stuff that we'd like to see in it. Have they gotten back to us yet on what exactly they're planning to do with these exhibits?
I have not heard anything back yet myself. No. Yeah, that's from the last meeting, yeah. Maybe we can follow up with Jay on that. Okay, anything else? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the May 3rd, 2023 meeting minutes.
Move.
Moved by Shane. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Next, we have the consent agenda. First, we have approved RTC to buy food for all staff meeting 5/9/2023. I just want to say that's our first all staff meeting since prior to the pandemic. So it was really a good meeting to see all our staff. That was approved 400. Approved resolution number 108, 2023, Udovich House demo, IC agreement 400. Oh, yeah. Next, approved bid to David Farmer for Hideaway Pines Flooring Project 400. Approved bid to David Farmer for meth remediation services 400. Approved bid to David Farmer for caretaker services 400. Approved RFP for Health Board. Approved RFP for HR assessment. Approved resolution number 109, 2023, Department of Energy grant submission with new amounts. Approved contract for Net Lake PD lawn services to Jordan Goodsky 301. Approve service agreement for Stericycle Shred It, 400. Approve First Nations grant agreement extension, 400. Approve Patterson Dental, $72,815 for additional CEREC machine, 400. Approve Patterson Dental, $26,975 for replacement dental chair, 400. Approve video surveillance equipment for ICWA program, 400. Denied bid to Udovich Enterprise LLC for 2023 community cleanup, 130. Approve bid to Francis Irving for 2023 community cleanup, 400. Approve 2023 Tribal Justice System Community Questionnaire, 400. Approve 2023 EMS appreciation stipend in the total amount of $11,000, 301. Approve sole source to Arch Insurance for $24,461.70 for healthcare professional liability, 400. Approve submission of IHS Produce Prescription Pilot Program Grant, 400. And that is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda, or is there questions or comments?
A couple of things I want to point out. Under letter O, denied bid for Udovich Enterprise for the community cleanup, I voted against it. And the reason why is because I wanted a band member business to get it. Also, for letter R, approve the 2023 EMS appreciation stipends for $11,000. I abstained because I am on the ambulance and the fire department.
Okay, thanks for those clarifications, Shane. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Robert. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. And next we have Mr. Thomas Hall, a Superior National Forest Supervisor, here today with Juan. And Juan is the tribal liaison for the U.S. Forest Service. And we also have Connie Cummins, who is the retired former U.S. Forest Service Supervisor, with a presentation of the MOU plaque to the Tribal Council. Welcome.
Thank you so much for making time on your agenda today for this. We wanted to commemorate the signing ceremony that we had for the co-stewardship MOU that we signed on May 2nd over in Grand Portage. I wanted to make sure that we made time for Connie Cummins, who was the former forest supervisor to me, who really was instrumental working with the Boys Fort Band, Grand Portage Band, and Fond du Lac Band in moving towards this really historic opportunity to work together to make sure that we do have strong relationships to protect the tribal treaty rights that you all have. Connie, anything you want to say?
Well, first of all, just congratulations to getting it through. I know it took a little longer than we maybe thought it would, but it's here. And I know it took a hard work from a lot of you, especially the tribes, to make that happen. And I just want to personally thank Boys Fort and the other two tribes for your patience. Sometimes maybe not so much patience, but you know, and really helping me build my perspective around what trust responsibilities really meant. And I very much appreciate that. I also, I think even more so than that, or even at least on par with that, is just the perspective around how the tribes think about natural resources and how you treat the land. And I think this partnership, I mean, I felt like we were in the past, but I think this is quite a bit deeper partnership between the tribes and the Forest Service is really going to enrich the management and use of the national forests, and not just for the tribes, but for everyone. And so I'm really excited to sit back now and see that happen, and really thank you for your persistence and patience in getting us to this point. So thanks.
Gee, Miigwech, Connie, thank you very much. Okay, let's get a photo. As long as you're all here, everybody's here. Jeff Wolf, our tribal attorney, was very instrumental. Speaking of which, Jeff.
Thank you. So there's going to be one for each advance, and then there would be one in the supervisor's office as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I was just on saying hi. Morning, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, next we have donations committee. Hang on, I gotta get to my. Okay, we have a donation request. We have a donation committee that reviews all the requests for donations, and they have received a request from Sasha Strong. And this was reviewed by our donation committee. It was approved to grant Sasha $500, which is the max allowed for the donation committee. And just as a backup, Sasha was requesting our support for her international experience, which is one of her graduation requirements as a Carlson School of Management student at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. The purpose of this, it's a requirement. So the purpose of this requirement is to prepare us to be business leaders in an increasingly competitive international economy. It's also an opportunity to become globally competent, to encourage mutual understanding, communication, and collaboration of Carlson students, staff, and faculty with colleagues abroad, and to support the development of students as authentic global business leaders. And so this will hopefully help her make this international experience a reality. And we're very committed to helping our people out with donation requests as they need them for whatever that may be. So do we have any comments or questions on Sasha? If not, I'll call for a, go ahead, Tara.
I just have a small comment is not only for this request that she put in for the Boys Fort Reservation Tribal Council, she's also out there, trying to raise her own money.
Yep.
She had a booth at the
Oh.
at the powwow,
Nice.
and the food was good, so I enjoyed that. A lot of people continue to go try every resource.
Yep.
So this isn't the only resource
Yep.
that she has.
No,
tried.
that,
So
thank you for
she's-
that,
she's
Tara.
Looking everywhere.
Yep,
So
good.
that's all.
Doris? Yeah.
I was just going to bring up what Tara did, that she has been trying hard to raise funds, and she will be leaving on the 25th, 4th for South Korea. And so we're excited about that. I'm a little nervous, but
As a grandma, yes.
thank you for your consideration on behalf of Sasha and her family.
Miigwech, Doris. And Sasha actually interned here her first year off of college in our accounting department. And then she also interned at Shakopee Metawakan Sioux. And we're glad that she's continuing her educational career in business and accounting. And as a grandparent, I too would have my concerns. South Korea is kind of far away, but what an experience for such a great young lady.
Yeah, just looking forward to it.
Good. Do you have all the communication stuff in order? So how you can Zoom and FaceTime and all that? Okay, good. Okay, do we have a motion to approve a $500 donation to Sasha Strong?
I'll move.
Moved by Tara. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent. Motion carried. How exciting. Christine Lendemo, Head Start, Early Head Start Child Care Parent Agreement. Are you on, Christine? Oh, there she is.
Good morning.
Bonjour.
Here to request that we can implement the Boys Fort Head Start and Early Head Start Childcare Parent Agreement. And this is to have the parents be accountable to pay their monthly childcare bills.
Okay, and Jeff's reviewed it and everything is good to go.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Christine? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the Head Start, Early Head Start Child Care Parent Agreement as presented.
I'll move.
Moved by Tara.
Second.
Oh, second by Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Christine, before you go, on Friday, we had a meeting with the Office of Head Start regarding our under enrollment. So maybe as a plug here with our audience that we have, maybe you could mention your under enrollment for Head Start. It's very important that we maintain our numbers, so go ahead.
Yes, I think we have been chronically under enrolled since 2011. And we have talked with Net Lake School and let them know that this was coming and we are here. I think Net Lake School had roughly 38 students. And so, yeah, we've been under enrolled as much as 19 slots in our Head Start program. So, and we're funded for 36. So we're going to work diligently here to enroll and get those numbers up this next school year. So we are going to expand our enrollment flyer out to like the Cook News Herald, the Timber Jay. So if anybody has a child from 0 to 5, please contact me at the Head Start 757-3261 option 3. So and we are here for our priority is band member children, but we do provide services to non-band member children. And those numbers are mostly over at our Vermilion Center. So I think some people out there think that it's just for tribal children and it's not. So yeah, there we
Okay,
go.
good. Well, I wanted you to put a plug out there because you have the floor here today. And, Head Start has been very helpful in trying to assist with Boys Fort since 2011 on the under enrollment. And we do have some COVID babies coming up.
Yeah, COVID babies.
And, but it's
We
very
don't want to,
important.
right, and we don't want to lose these slots, because if we do have a fluctuation going up on children, we don't want to have to turn them away. So it's important that we get these filled. So we're going to be working hard on that.
Good. And that's for Net Lake and Vermilion. So just a heads up, everybody, if you know of anybody that needs childcare or Head Start early Head Start services, contact Christine at the Net Lake Head Start. Thank you, Christine.
Thanks, Kathy, and the rest of you.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Next, we have Darlene Johnson, resolution number 111-2023, DSGW, Carol Burr as well. Service order for Vermilion Public Works food shelf. Carol? Yeah, sure. Good morning, Darlene. Hang on, Carol's coming up.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Okay. Carol, go ahead. Okay, that's fine. Hit the button.
This is the resolution to approve DSGW to be working on the Vermillion Public Works Garage. They've been working on it, but it's for them to finalize, do the drawings, help us get this going and put it out for bid. We did get some estimates on the cost, and so we're looking at doing some value engineering so it'll fit the budget. And we're also looking for other monies. We're going to look at IRRB, some USDA dollars that might be available. So we're still trying to get more money.
Yep. And one of the major problems that a lot of our projects are facing is when we applied for these grants or whatever, we were funded money for this Vermillion Public Works facility. However, the costs have gone extremely high since our application was put in and approved. And so when Carol mentions that we need additional funding for that we are having to do that with quite a few of our projects now because of the increased costs in construction and availability of products and those types of things. So what we got is great, but it just isn't meeting the needs. So, Darlene, do you have anything?
I would just like to add that DSGW architect firm, we do have a master agreement with them. So these service orders all fit underneath that master agreement. And for their services, we are using FRF ARPA dollars.
Yeah, what
Portion, yeah.
a portion coming from CFO. Yeah.
For the
yeah.
A&E services, yeah.
Yeah. And just for everybody's information, because we have all these projects going on, we did do an RFP for architectural A&E services. And that was awarded to DSGW to handle all the projects for the A&E services. So that's why we keep mentioning DSGW is because it's under, like Darlene said, our master agreement for our ARPA projects. So.
And we're locked in at a certain percentage because of that. So we're saving money on that.
Good. So basically, we have a resolution for the service order for the Vermillion Public Works Food Shelf Building. Do we have a motion to approve resolution number 111-2023?
Actually, I have some questions.
Well, go ahead.
Regarding the resolution itself, this is more towards, geared towards Kim and also Jeff, if he's online. It talks about now, it says now, therefore it be it resolved, and it talks about how the chairwoman can sign off on it. My question is that if there's any changes like in price or anything like that, that needs to come to the tribal council to approve, correct? Okay. Now, the last question is where it talks about be it further and finally resolved, and it talks about the band's sovereign immunity. And it talks about immunity from suit except for any waiver expressly made in the attached contract documents. Has there been any contract documents relating to sovereign immunity and the band waiving it? Do you know of, Jeff?
So the original master services agreement with DSGW that Darlene mentioned is the one that has the dispute resolution clauses in it. That master services agreement has dispute resolution, I believe, through a neutral third-party arbiter if there were ever disputes that arise. And that would be, I think both parties are agreeing under that dispute resolution for that to be binding. So I would call that a very limited waiver of the band's sovereign immunity for a specific dispute resolution provision for a neutral arbiter to resolve disputes.
The reason why I bring that up because it always makes me apprehensive every time I see a wording in a resolution pertaining to the band's sovereign immunity and how it's a requirement to do the job for the band to basically waive part of its sovereign immunity. It just makes me apprehensive, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 111-2023?
Move. Second.
Moved by Robert, seconded by Shane, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Okay,
council.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a discrepancy here. We need to amend our resolution, our motion for the agenda, because I see George Strong is on the agenda next, and he's not in our packets, and he's not on the agenda. So do we have a motion to amend our agenda? Rescind the previous motion to amend George Strong as for his Native Voice 1 FY24 carriage agreement. Moved by Shane. Is there a second? Second by Robert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Now do we have a motion to add George to the agenda? Moved by Shane, seconded by Robert. Okay, George, we're putting you on the agenda. Come on in, sir. Our apologies for that. There's a button there. There you go.
There we go. Okay. I'm just trying to renew a carriage agreement with Native Voice One. We do this annually, and looked it over. Jeff looked it over. There's real no changes to it from what you. It refers to a original agreement like 5 years ago, but that's still in place. So
Basically, it's just a renewal
yes,
every year, and it's in
Yep.
your budget.
it's in my budget. Yep,
You know how much that is, George? Like-
it's 7,200, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as you can you send me a copy?
Yeah, I know. I apologize.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve George's Native Voice 1 request for renewal? Moved by Robert.
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you,
Thanks,
George
guys.
McWitch. Okay, next we have Orlando Childs.
I don't have him.
Pardon?
I don't see him here and then I don't see him online.
Okay. We'll go next to Kim Greiner. We have the lease amendment for Kutaska and a lease for Netley Clinic. Watch the cords, Kim. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning. The first one I have on there is the lease amendment for Kutaska for the International Falls Prevention Office. As we're working through the 105L lease projects, we needed to add some language for IHS into our leases. So that's the main thing. And then the second thing that Jeff requested is that it changed to a month-to-month lease, so we don't have to renew it each year.
Oh, okay.
So, and I have forwarded this to them. Kutaska hasn't approved it yet either, but, that's the only, there's no dollar amounts changing on that or anything.
Same rental amount and
Yeah.
everything. It's just,
And so that's just doing it so we get it, we can put that office into the 105L lease funds.
okay. Gotcha. Any questions for Kim on the lease amendment for Kutaska?
I have some questions.
Okay.
Okay, when I was reviewing, I noticed that item number 10, it says Jessica Gustafson and Boys Fort staff. She no longer works for us. And when you do put a person in there to replace Jessica for that building, is it a combination of an employee and another employee from Boys Fort staff, or is it to gain entrance? Is it just one or the other, or why does it say Jessica Gustafson and Boys Fort staff? Is that a dual entrance type of thing or?
No, I think it can be, because if Jessica isn't there, someone else, but we should probably change that to
Just
designated, like what's that position called, like the prevention, name that position,
High
not
Falls
a
Prevention
person.
Specialist or something like that.
And then those designated by, maybe like authorized by the tribal council.
Okay.
Any other questions, Tara? Okay. Jeff, we can get that done.
Yeah, and I would, if you want to, when you approve this, if you choose to approve it today, you could approve it subject to that additional
Yep.
change, and then
Yep.
we'll write up the amendment, and it'll already been approved by
Okay.
you.
Got it. Okay, no other questions. I'll call for a motion to approve the lease amendment with that additional change on number 10 to include the IFAL specialist, prevention specialist, or whatever that position is titled. Do we have a motion to approve those changes? An amendment. Moved by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Okay, Kim, now we have the clinic lease.
Yep, we have the lease for the clinic now. We already have 105L leases for the clinic. And we have, the lease agreement had two things that were wrong with it, and another change, some just administrative changes that we've made in there. Because this hadn't been renewed for years, or hadn't been updated for years for the clinic side. So the biggest thing was putting the language about the IHS requirements at the bottom.
Okay.
And that's in section 14. It says that the sublease, the lease is authorized to enter into a sublease with Indian Health Services covering the lease premises for the purpose of recouping facility costs, for the 105L.
Okay.
Then after several changes, so because the building is not square and easily, the area and the square footage of it needed to be corrected.
Okay.
So, we had another update, so I don't know which one's in your packet. So the clinic square footage will be 21,728.
That's what we have.
Okay. So that updates that. And then in the meantime, why we're updating this is because we had that building reappraised for the 105L, and we're getting a significant increase because of the value of properties and healthcare and stuff like that. And so since we asked the school to renew it, to fix some stuff in here for the that they asked for an updated lease amount.
Okay.
And their lease amount will now be $3.50 a square foot for an annual rent of $76,048. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm thinking it never really was updated. If it was only like once.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a big increase compared to what it was, but for the lease value, it's that. But then the school can have money to make the repairs that are required in their part of the agreement, like, because they're responsible for the boiler, stuff like that, and those things cost money. The maintenance to, a maintenance person to keep the sidewalks clear, stuff like that. That's their responsibility.
Yep.
In the agreement. And then we cleaned up some of the some small language in there. And then the other thing that the school asked is that the lease amount goes up by the CPI every year, Consumer Price Index. So it goes up as inflation goes up.
I have a couple questions. With regards to the 105L leasing and amending this lease, will we be doing that on a consistent basis, like every 2 years, every 3 years, every 5 years, or
Well, we have to renew, we have to put in a lease renewal request every year.
Okay,
So that will have to be done, and then we can just ask for the CPI in our 105L lease.
okay,
But because we originally had these appraised in 2018 in the real estate market, when we were doing the other ones, it came back. It was more, it was in our best interest to relook at it. So we did, and it went up significantly.
Okay.
It almost doubled
okay,
in those 3 years. So we kind of have to watch that.
okay,
And as Jeff and Randy and I have been working on this, and I've been emailing Red Lake quite a bit.
Yep.
We're almost going to get to the point that we may need a person, just to handle
specifically.
the 105Ls. And I'm trying to get clarification from IHS and BIA if we get indirect costs, because indirect costs, then we would have more money to hire a position to do that.
Mhm.
But there's going to be the renegotiating of the leases every year. There's going to be departments that move in and out of buildings. So like buildings that are mixed with BIA, IHS and non, there's going to be that going on. As we add buildings, there's going to be that process. And as we've dug through this, there has been quite a bit of stuff we've learned, and Jeff can attest to this. Because we were just looking at this, I think Thursday or Friday, and we reread the annual funding agreement with IHS, and at first we thought it was only going to be we were only going to try for the offices at New Moon.
Right.
And then rereading our funding agreement, we're going to go and try and do the whole New Moon property instead. So we're going back and forth. Like we've tried to push some, we've tried to come up with some unique things to ask for, because in our IHS funding agreement, we have water and sewer in there. And so we're the first tribe to ask for 105L money for our pump houses and our water towers. That has already gotten kicked up to Washington, DC.
Oh, good.
For clarification. So, and if they do deny us, then we have a basis that we can come back and
Yep.
and discuss. The other things that we're going to be trying for that, we're trying to get this round through because there was 33 leases we did.
Yep.
Is the communications in the fire tower, because those are BIA functions that we're doing through there. And so we're going to see what we can do with those.
Mhm.
That's kind of a unique thing we're doing. Was there any other ones, Jeff, that you thought that we were going to look at? And this is such a game changer.
Yep.
And I do, and then talking about finding funding for buildings that fit those functions, that we could get alternative sources of funding. So like, I believe next week, the USDA is coming to talk about the rural development grant loan process. And Red Lake has been successful in building some buildings through the rural development and getting the 105L lease to pay for the principal and interest plus the building maintenance. And then our bank was here on Thursday, I think it was. And I brought that up to them and I showed it to them, and they're interested too in being a financer. I showed it to them and explained it, and they said they would definitely look into it too. So we got some options opening up with lots of stuff around 105L.
And I really think that we started out with just a clinic.
Yep.
Basically, we started out with one building. Now, as Kim mentioned, we're up to 33. And it does take a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of assessing and actually creativity, because you're thinking of, what might fit under this project, because it's funded for the operational costs, the maintenance costs. And that helps free up money for services in other programs where they're having to take that money out of their budgets right now, the maintenance costs, where this gives you those maintenance costs and frees up more money for services. So it like you said, it's ever changing.
Yeah, and we put off a lot of repairs to buildings because of lack of funding. And so this will help keep our facilities in good order. So we have a lot of other projects that are coming online too, you know, like the Plesha building. I'm waiting for the contract to come back to get that approved to and get authorized to sign because the Plesha building is eligible for it. When we get the Vermilion food shelf / maintenance facility built, part of the building, and that one's going to be a mixed building because part will be IHS, some will be a BIA, and some will be not eligible.
Right.
And then when we build our new DNR building that we got just recently received funding for, once we get what's called the certificate of occupancy
Mhm.
on those two, we can negotiate the 105L. And so that will pay for the building costs and stuff like that. So like I said, it's kind of growing really fast.
Yeah.
But we're looking for a source. That's why I asked about contract support costs on both because they're both part of 638 to get clarification so we can plan and do this and monitor it. So.
Jeff, do you have any comments?
No, that's a really good overview. I think what I would say is just that I think 105L leasing for tribes has been a really underutilized resource. And so it's a right that tribes have. And so I think we're going to try to be really aggressive with the compacts and what Bois Forte deserves for facility costs. And I'm pretty hopeful that it'll be really fruitful for the band. So that's it.
And I know that Kim has mentioned contacting Red Lake. Red Lake has been a leader in the 105L leasing program. I think they were kind of like the first tribe in Minnesota that I know of that really pursued the 105L leasing, and they get a generous amount of money from the leases themselves.
Yeah.
So
And surprisingly though, that
they didn't
Red
do-
Lake was the first one to have a BIA 105L lease. But as of current, I think they only have 3 BIA 105Ls and 2 IHS ones because I've been talking to them.
Mhm.
And they said, because we've been talking about staffing and people administering this. And they said that they don't have time to go and negotiate because the buildings that they negotiated for, they went for the direct costs.
Yep.
Because it was built with non-federal funds. Where we went with fair market appraisal values and so different ways. So they're giving us
Mhm.
tips and I said, well, this is what we did. And, that's what they did. And so like even on the emailing back and forth is I just found out yesterday from Dave Connor and Jim Garrigan from Red Lake that if we're building a new facility to have BIA review the plans before we bid it out.
Okay.
Or IHS so that it meets their requirements and we can sublease it out.
Good. And I know that in talking with Fond du Lac, a lot of tribes, and I shouldn't say a lot, but a few tribes that I know aren't being as aggressive as we are with regards to the 105L leases, really evaluating what's in our compacts to see what may or may not be eligible. So I just want to say a great job to Jeff, Randy, and Kim for pursuing those additional creative.
Yeah, the other 2 that we discussed, well, there's 3 that we discussed kind of as we go through this now, that buildings that we didn't do. We talked about, because we didn't do the Quonset hut or the garage out at the thing because of environmental, because we leave environmental in the BIA side at BIA.
Yep.
But then Jeff pointed out that it probably fits under community health on the IHS side. So,
See how
yeah.
creative they are?
And then Jeff also, after we started looking at the new moon one, Jeff also pointed out like the senior assisted living center over here is probably really a community health. So he's going to float that before we do the appraisal on that one. You were going to float that by Todd Schofield to see, kind of get an idea from him. So we're really trying to look at everything.
That's a great job because any additional funding, especially for maintenance costs, because they're getting very spendy and some of our buildings are getting older. And like you said, we've had to put off some of our improvements or whatever for buildings because of cost, so. Plus it frees up money for services.
I just wanted to comment to make sure, when you're asking about the natural resources DNR building, to get in touch with Chris Holm, because
Yeah.
I know that we do some reporting to EPA
Yeah,
with water quality.
yeah, so
So
that
we
might,
don't double,
yeah,
or if we
but,
can figure out a way to,
yeah, but we're also, water quality is in the BIA compact too.
we
So,
report those costs to EPA in our.
oh,
grants.
as in
Space
kind,
costs, yeah.
yeah.
I have a question. Now hypothetically, what happens if we don't get approved for the LO51, whatever that is, lease thing, then what?
It's just, we just have to keep going back to pretty much do our justification. That's the only part that I think is the open-ended is justification of what services were in there.
Mhm.
Because it's not capped by Congress and what's that terminology? I'm drawing a blank on it, Jeff. It's unlimited funds, and it can't, in those things. And if IHS and BIA doesn't have the money, Congress is going to reappropriate more. So,
Yeah, they provide for additional appropriations. And I think luckily, Shane, to answer your question, so far with the 3 leases that Boysport has, we haven't run into a problem with negotiation because they essentially just accepted our initial proposals in terms of the amount of the fair market value. If they didn't here, there would be it would probably go up to a more formal process of the band articulating, saying, here's why this is justified. And that would probably get, raised within their structure in sort of a formal appeal process. And then from there, I suppose you could even take it further if you wanted to, but I think we're hoping to obviously resolve most of that stuff on the front end.
Thank you for that. I'd also like to get back to the point that Kim brought up, is bringing the design plans, getting them 2 other agencies involved, and also to I think it's Dave. Has Dave the one that handles the projects?
Carol,
Carol? Okay. Is it, for when the plans are being drawn out, to basically get everybody on board, so everybody understands what the process is, what's going on, and what's needed before we proceed forth with this, because I'd hate to have us go forth and then one of the agencies say, oh, no, we didn't review it, and then back to square one.
that's where we were at. And actually, I wasn't aware of that before until we had a meeting. What was it, Friday? And the architect said that they had worked with another tribe that was going to get the 105L, and they had to go there. And so I guessed it was Red Lake, and that's why I emailed Red Lake, and they got back to me over the weekend.
Yeah, so she gave me the information and I'm going to be contacting the BIA person so that we can find out when they need the drawings and how we get the approval for that. So we're going to loop them in, and probably with the DNR building, we'll have to do that also, the new one.
That brings up another question too, is that, when we do that, and we do provide them with a drawing, then how there's always change orders in these drawings. They do a soft drawing, then they come back, and then towards the end project, they come in with a final project, and then do we have to keep going back to them for approval?
That's what we need to find out, because we've never done it before. So it's a whole new process. And I'm sure they have a book or a guideline, that we'll have to follow. So I'll get that and study it so that when we have our new projects coming up, we're following their policies as well. One of the things that Red Lake did say is that the BIA has stricter codes or guidelines for the construction versus some of the federal. So we're definitely going to have to make some changes to our current drawings, I'm assuming. to match BIA's. So,
Thank you.
okay. Anything else?
Any other questions for Carol while she's still up there?
Well,
No,
I just
go ahead,
wanted to
go ahead.
mention one other thing about the 105L. It's retroactive to the date that we submitted. So like if we're like hammering out all these issues, like on the water and sewer, they kicked that up the chain at IHS. If they approve it or even if they deny it and we approve it and appeal it and win, it goes back to the day we submitted our request. So we would, go backwards with that. But when we submitted BIA, we did receive a response that they said that they're backlogged and they'll get to us. And Jeff asked them, because in the guidance, they're supposed to have an answer within 90 days or, negotiate within 90 days. And BIA said they're not going to meet the 90 days. IHS has already jumped on it. Chris Poole had asked us, said that we had such a large packet, they wanted time to review it. And so he said that he would get back to us after like the week of June 16th. But there's other people at IHS that have already been looking at it and asking lots of questions. So we've already started responding on their questions because some of it was more declarative on the purpose of the building, and those ones were really pretty easy to fix. And then there were some that needed more dimensions.
Okay, good. Any other questions for Kim, Jeff, or Carol? Now I'll call for a motion to approve the lease for the Net Lake Clinic with those changes. Moved by Shane,
Second.
second by Robert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Great job, you guys. A lot of information. Next, we have patent counts with the mental health block grant annual amendment. Bonjour.
Good day, yeah. Hello. So I'm just doing this. It got sent to Jeff. It was all approved, but so whenever I was going to redo the mental health block grant, we got an additional $115,000. And so with that additional funding, we were obligated to change some of the work plan for the things that we're doing in the mental health department. And so a couple of things that were changed that are prevalent within this new agreement is that we increased the amount of people that we're going to see in terms of the client load. And so this is something that's still very much within the scope of what we're already doing. It's just increasing those numbers for that grant reporting. And then one other significant change that was on there is I linked this grant to the Virginia building, so the Plesha building that Kim is talking about. And it's just to use those funds to help support buying like the desks, the waiting room chairs, all the extra funding that needs to be used to help support that building and help bring those mental health services down to Virginia. It's just going to be tied within this grant as well. And those are kind of the main performance indicators that are different. Other than that, it's just a 1-year annual review, and then we'll go on with a new contract in the next grant year.
Good. It's always good to get additional funding. Not very often we get to do that.
Yeah, we're fortunate in that this and a couple other of our grants, we have some additional funding. So those will come up in the next council meeting for sure when I go to approve those amendments.
Plus adding the Plesha building, I think was huge too, to incorporate that within the grant. So those services can be provided in the Virginia area for those that may have trouble with transportation. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
good.
Cool.
Any questions for Peyton?
I have a quick question. The increase in client load, is that per building, like for Plesha, or is it a combination of all services?
It's a combination
No matter
within
where.
the
Okay.
department. Yep.
All right.
Good question.
Okay. If no other questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve the mental health block grant annual amendment to incorporate those changes and additional funding? Moved by Travis, Is there a second by Shane? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Miigwech, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I see we have Orlando Childs here. Orlando, you're on the agenda, so just come sit at this table right here with the red light. I hope I said your name correctly.
You did, thank you.
Mhm. Go ahead,
Hello, ladies
Orlando.
and gentlemen. My apologies for being tardy.
Mhm.
I have a sort of a emotional thing I want to bring to the agenda. This is sort of my whole reason for being, actually, as I like to say. There is a dying urge in the community with the youngsters. I found at the powwow I was hanging out with, they were playing basketball, and a lot of the individuals have expressed an interest in my desire for hunting, fishing, and trapping, as they seen my bow in my trunk and some of my beaver skins that I was kind of working on with the rock, and they disconnect that I had received from them is they don't know who to learn it from, or the people that they are learning it from aren't very nice or good at teaching them. So what I'm proposing is I guess, some sort of funding to teach these boys. I've already talked to Mr. Morrison in the DNR office. He is open to teaching, but there's a way we can take some of the young men who are not doing anything during the day and train them, give them some sort of a salary to keep them off of their feet, and start a training program to teach these individuals how to properly trap, hunt, and fish. Mainly trapping is the main ideal that me and Morrison were talking about. And essentially, this can lead to all kinds of revenue in my mind. We have Etsy. There's a lot of people in town who make moccasins, and if we have a plethora of leather available for the individuals in towns to then generate revenue off of. This could be a whole Etsy Boys Fort page that people can go on and purchase stuff. And this also goes down to the keister oil that is found in a lot of these beavers that's used for medicinal purposes, as well as the bear fat that is used for all kinds of spiritual medicinal purposes. And I feel that the I keep saying disconnect, but the separation from the old ways and the need or the drive to want to learn about the old ways is so close. But there's just a small bridge that needs to be built to get these individuals to to be interested in doing these things, and also be okay with not succeeding. You go out there, you trap, you might have one set that hit out of 20, and to keep that sort of drive going, I think is important. And this is my life. This is what I do, and it's sort of saved my life in a lot of ways. Um, you know, from creating other alternative things that you can be doing after work. And I think that this can be something that will not only increase the revenue for Boys Fort, but also change the trajectory of extracurricular activities for the young men in the area.
Orlando, can you maybe possibly do an introduction because you are new to our
Yes.
staff here? So maybe an introduction would be nice with what you do.
My name is Orlando Childs. I'm the Legacy Project Manager for KBTF Radio, and I will be essentially running a lot of the legacy cultural and historical programs that we're going to be running through KBFT.
Great. I know that there's been talk throughout the years, especially with the acknowledgement of technology, that our kids are not doing a lot of our traditional ways, like even ricing, hunting, trapping is like Doris Pete has been our main trapper here on the reservation, and a lot of those ways are getting lost. So, and when you talk about meeting with Mr. Morrison, you must mean Squidge?
No, I'm sorry.
David Morrison?
Tony Morrison.
Oh, Tony
in-
Mason?
Mason,
Okay.
my apologies, Mason in the DNR.
Yeah.
And I actually had spoke with, um, oh my God, Heart Warrior. And Heart
Okay.
Warrior has spoken with Isham, and Isham is eager to teach and to give information, as well as Mr. Mason.
Okay, Doris?
Well, I just want to say that if he's referring to Isham by Ira, he can't, he has a back problem, so he's not able to
Okay.
do any teaching to anybody right now. And for my the main reason, or one of the reasons, is this has not come before the Conservation Committee
Okay.
for discussion. The second reason is this is not a new idea. Different programs have tried this before and plan to take this into their programs before, such as Squidge's program, the language and culture program. You know, all of these teachings of trapping, hunting, is stuff that our own people plan to teach our people how to do that. And as far as marketing of beaver, there's no trapping right now because there is no market. You know, you talk about selling carcasses. Oh, there's another part of the animal, but the market dropped out of that, and so people don't trap anymore until that market picks up, and we don't expect that to pick up until the economy picks up. And yeah, it's nice to say that we will finish all these hides to make our moccasins and try and do a business, but that's not new. We've tried that before. And some of these ideas that he is proposing are within programs budgets that they are to do with our younger people. And so I think, you know, what he's saying is legitimate, but I would say that it best comes from being taught by our own people to our people. They're the people who know best. And I know that Orlando has a history of hunting. In fact, his AKA is buck to black hunter. And so he has been instrumental in initiating different evolutions of hunting in different parts of the country. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention and voice my opinion.
Chiles de Cazador is my AKA.
What's that?
Chiles de Cazador is my AKA. Not Buck the Black Hunter, that's my email. But Chiles de Cazador, just yeah, correction.
Okay. Thank you, Doris.
May I follow up on Doris? With all respect, if I heard or listened to people when they said that this has been done before, I would not be here where I'm at. I understand where you're coming from, and I understand a lot of the concerns that you mentioned. I also understand my passion and my drive and my my hard-headedness for succeeding. And with a lot of those with a lot of the feedback that I received, I do hear what you're saying, and I can sympathize with a lot of the comments, but I do want to say that because it hasn't worked in the past, it doesn't mean that there's a different way that we can make it work for the future. I don't have all the answers, but I think that collectively we can figure out a way to make this successful, as I have seen it become successful in other avenues. Now, I am one who dreams, and I dream every day, all the time, and that's probably one of my problems, but it's also one of my biggest strengths. And if I were to, if we were to be in California somewhere in Berkeley, and I were to say, would you like some original moccasins? I can guarantee you that the entire block will pay $350, $400 for some custom-made moccasins. And this is just from what I know from being in California. If you put anything native or indigenous on a package, people love it and they eat it up. And I can guarantee you the moccasins that I seen Miss Fern create are so amazing. I'd pay $500 for those moccasins. This is just my opinion from an outsider point of view, from the success that I've created in Oakland, California, where people are cracked out, drug addict babies who have no future, creating a path for them to, now they're archery hunting, now they're out there looking for coyotes, now they're actually getting hired to trap coyotes. I've created programs that has changed the people who have no hope whatsoever, completely hopeless, to a striving, now I'm buying fishing rods instead of crack neighborhood. And if I have that drive to create that sort of success in a neighborhood that is not, you would definitely be locking your doors going down. I definitely feel like that can be happening here, and that's just my my passion speaking. My apologies, I got a little bit passionate there speaking,
Okay.
but yeah, that is all.
Thank you, Orlando. I think that, like Doris mentioned, there is our conservation committee, but also maybe what might be helpful for you as well with your passion and wanting to help the community is to connect with the programs. David Morrison Jr.'s, excuse me, another one. He's been deep into our doing a lot of cultural things. Peyton with the mental health programs and stuff. And, you know, I think by connecting with some of our programs and maybe meeting with the departments might be very helpful in helping fund some of these things that you're looking at, because I know that other tribes are doing that as well. An example is Fond du Lac is having their kids learning how to tan deer hides and those types of things. And so there's all kinds of things. And like Doris said, it, you know, we've tried it before. And sometimes it's just, we can't get the kids out there to do that. But I even know like 1854 has been trying to get kids into hunting, fishing, not so much trapping, because we don't have a lot of trappers anymore because of the market. And so it's mainly trying to get our kids, but also maybe people in recovery as well, when we look at it that way. So I think there's a great avenue within our programs, like Doris mentioned, to have funding to help with some of these. You may want to attend a conservation committee meeting and bring those thoughts forward, and then connect with David Morrison Jr. and some of the programs. So
I would also like to connect with Doris
Yes.
to see what we can do to make this work. If it hasn't worked, you tell me why it hasn't worked in the past, and once we figure out the sickness, we can figure out how to cure it. So I would like to get with you if that's possible to see how we can collaborate to keep this alive and make this dream of mine come to fruition.
okay, go ahead, Tara, and then we have a comment online.
Okay, I appreciate your passion and Doris's comments. I can totally relate to Doris. Doris is, she's the head of the Conservation Committee. So she's been on there for a long time. I've learned a lot from her, so that's a great resource. You should also, not only just the programs, Squidge's programs, and I forget who else. I'm sorry if I don't mention everybody, Peyton, Danny Parados. She has, she doesn't work for the organization here right now, but she's a great resource with food sovereignty. I would say Gordy Adams. He doesn't work for the organization either, but he's a community member. So seek him out. I think the best bet would be maybe going to the Conservation Committee and then seeing if the Conservation Committee can invite all of those people to a meeting.
Okay, yeah, I know Gordy pretty well. We spent some time together this past Thursday, so I'll get with Gordy, and I'd like to get with you as well. and see what we can do to make this happen.
Also, the CTAS grant. Doris, remember when we worked on the CTAS grant? That was one of the initiatives that I really was passionate about, was recovery, bringing hunting, trapping, fishing to that, to recovery, substance use disorders. So we talked about that. We didn't pursue it that year for the CTAS grant, but I do think that that is a big avenue that needs to be explored here. Not only with the youth, keeping them up to date and giving them something new to do. I would say you might want to mirror something from Minnesota, the state DNR. They have women in the outdoors. A lot of our women are in recovery, and I think that would help them to get in the outdoors and experience that. So, because they're the backbone of our families. Oftentimes there are single mothers. So I think even helping them become more strong and willing to be in the outdoors, it might be the first time, or it might be something that they picked back up after recovery. Maybe they did that in their youth or teens or something like that. So, and I wouldn't say that it failed. It's not failing. We're not failing here at Boys Fort. When I hear it didn't work, it didn't work. No, it's still working here at Boys Fort. It's just very sparingly happening. With the productivity that, dare I say, Boys Fort does. We've got employees who are working hard in their day-to-day activities, 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. Their work here, plus the grant reporting that is required, right? They're doing double duty, trying to remain an employee here at Boys Fort, plus trying to bring old customs back, plus trying to, be a productive community member, attend all the functions that we have here. That could be a 24/7 job. So, yeah, I do think that that's a really good initiative. But somebody who works and lives here, it's very taxing on one body. And if you guys have noticed, we have the same 10 people, fighting and fighting and fighting to keep everything alive. So, just keep that in mind, that somehow we as council need to create that balance that he's trying to revive, and that the rest of the same 10, 12, 15, 20 people within the community are trying to keep alive. They're not failing. They're just bombarded with life, with work, everything else. So I think as a council, we need to be able to let them participate and make us more efficient with technology and everything else, let's get up to date. So then they have time in the evenings, on the weekends, to be making these programs thrive. Because right now, we are archaic. We need to hurry up and get all of this stuff done, so then we can go back and practice the old ways. It just seems like we're spinning our wheels, but we are not failing. I wouldn't say that we're failing. So when I heard that, I'm like, no, we're not. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there a comment, Nikki?
Yeah, it just went back to Danny Parados, maybe reaching out to her because she started, the netting clinic and snaring this winter. And then she does work with the 1854 employees as well.
And I also want to throw out there, I'm sorry if I interrupted you, my apologies.
Just that somebody has their hand raised as well. Be Ashley, good guy.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I just wanted to jump in and quickly say that since I started helping planning the powwow, organizing the powwows, like the last 2 years, one of my big questions was during the powwows, the elders, like I really resorted back to the elders on planning these powwows and what kind of natural food can we bring to the menu? And that's and my grandpa had brought up beaver. So he was the first one to bring up beaver and we were able to find somebody to cook the beaver, but it was hard. Like nobody knew how to cook beaver. And so this last DNR brought up beaver when we had no idea beaver were coming. But the person that cooked the beaver the last time showed the cooks this time on how to cook beaver. And then our other cook brought in rabbits. They have a rabbit farm. So that was like a big thing that I like to try and work on, coordinating the powwows and adding something to the menu, is bringing something in our environment into the kitchen. And what else did we have? Oh, I think so far it's been rabbit, beaver, and of course deer, moose, bison. We haven't got walleye. I haven't asked anybody to grab walleye. It's more of asking people to bring in their own recipes. So but yeah, it is hard, and asking the old people, like they don't remember how to make stuff like that. So it's been very interesting in asking what kind of recipes or what type of food are, like rabbit soup or something like that. But that request is like, I don't know, I feel very strongly about bringing back into the kitchen. So if you guys know anybody, I just want to bring that out there. We are trying to bring in more things like that into the powwow.
I'm glad you said something because we are here at KBFT working on bringing Chef Yazi up here to train with Rosebud Blossom, one of the chefs that has got her culinary degree at a junior college in town or nearby. And Chef Yazi is a pretty renowned chef, Navajo descent. And me and him have been talking back and forth for the last couple weeks. And he is planning on coming up to do a show actually with Rosebud. And all this stuff is going to be documented. And this is another way to create revenue during this process of collecting hides for the market to turn back up. And Yellowstone is doing a pretty good job, the television show of creating more hats and turning that beaver market around. But I do want to say that we do have somebody to come and teach people how to cook these traditional foods, Chef Yazi, and he's going to be teaching Rosebud Blossom, Heart Warrior's granddaughter, and that is something that we are tackling. So actually, I'm glad you said something.
Miigwech, Ashley. Miigwech. Sounds like a plan. Oh, go ahead.
There's another comment on here. Someone said Boys and Girls Club, so I don't know, reaching out to them, I guess. And then I think it's important to remember the most important aspect of old ways is spiritualism. My suggestion would be to consult with the advisor. Just a question to consider, could the monetization of the program be part of the problem?
Yeah, another area to access might be the Boys and Girls Club, as mentioned, to incorporate some of that with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, what was the other comment besides the modernization? Monetizations, yeah, thank you.
The old ways is spiritualism.
Spiritualism. Vern Adams, you missed him, but is our spiritual advisor. You may want to contact Vern, offer him some asema, and contact Vern about how he may be instrumental in helping you with finding your way with this.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Well, thank you very
Thank
much,
you guys
sir.
so much.
Shane, go ahead.
Regarding with what you want to do is I must commend you first, and myself, I agree with what Tara said, is that we as a tribal council need to do everything and anything we can to ensure that band members have the opportunity to learn the traditional ways as best they can, whether it be the language, trapping, hunting, snaring, going out and picking the medicines. You know, like just last week, I think they had Hope Flanagan was here and sharing her knowledge and stuff like that. And I wasn't here, and I was on leave that day, but I wanted to go to that. I was planning to go to it, but I couldn't. You know, that was a great opportunity for the band members to take advantage of. And I hope whoever did that they probably learned a lot. At the powwow, we had a ceremony done that welcomed 2 of our veterans back into the community, welcome them back. And that's something that we as a band, as a tribe, need to start doing again. We need to bring that back. You know, and listening to them old ones when they used to sit around in a drum circle with them is that when a teaching goes or is no longer amongst the people, a new teaching will come in and basically fulfill that void or fill that void. And that's what's happening here. You know, we have like Hope Flanagan coming in and sharing her knowledge and stuff like that. So I think that we need to do everything we can as a tribal council to ensure that our band members have that opportunity. And I must stress this is that to document it with a video. That way it's preserved. Thank you.
And I'm not sure, maybe our internet audience can help, but what are some better ways of us communicating these events and stuff? Because maybe sometimes a lot of people don't utilize Facebook or Twitter or whatever. What are some other ways of communicating these events? We can do it through KBFT. There is a limited access area for that, but maybe for tribal members that live off the reservation that might want to come and participate in these things, or elders that may want to participate. So if we can get some comments from our internet audience or anybody else that how can we better get this word out on some of these things that are happening with regards to some of the traditional teachings and those types of things?
Well, a hurdle that we are coming up with at KBFT is unfortunately, but fortunately, TikTok is one of the biggest streaming platforms that is now on, I believe it's now on a channel now. You can watch TikToks on a channel. I believe it's Roku. So the block here, I believe, is that you cannot have any sort of TikTok on any government device, from what I understand. But that is the easiest and fastest way to reach 1 million people is by posting something educational on a platform like that. Instagram and Facebook happen to be a little bit harder platforms to reach just because of the algorithm and the way it's paid ads sort of a deal. But with the right hashtag and posting at the right time and just algorithms to TikTok that I've kind of mastered, the amount of people that I reached is crazy. So I can only imagine what something awesome that Voice for It has to offer can do on a platform like TikTok. I can only imagine it blowing up and reaching people not only in America but all across, from the Siberias to Alaska to China, everywhere. So probably not one to mention China, but
Okay, if I could mention too to some of the programs and services that are doing these events, one way that people do get the word out is through the Bois Forte News. So if we can have a month, if you know in advance, like say for July, well, let's not use July. Let's say for August, you've got events planned, put it in the Bois Forte News, because then that way you know for sure. Some of us older people who don't use TikTok get that information, because that's one thing I know that the Bois Forte News has been looking for, is programs and services to get that word out there. So that's another avenue. It might be old school, but it's still
works.
It's still a way to do it. I
was gonna
got
say,
Peyton
just a
looking at me.
reminder, deadline for newspapers always the 20th, most months.
The 20th of each month is the
Yeah.
deadline for the Bois Forte News for the next month. So thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Orlando.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, next we have Terry Morrison. And Terry, as long as you're also doing Jill, we'll put that up under you as well. Good morning. Bonjour.
Okay. The first one is we currently, through the food shelf, we have an agreement with the food bank called the Food Group, and that's out of the cities. So this one is with Northern Lakes Food Group out of Duluth. And we are hoping that it will expand some different foods, because a lot of times the food group in the cities is out. Like we can only order what they have in stock.
Oh, okay.
And supply chain has been an issue still. So sometimes we can't get things for a while. So we're hoping if we have this second food option to get food from, that we'll be able to be more consistent in what we have or offer more choices.
Okay. Any questions for Terry? I just want to say, I really think that the food bank or the food shelf has been really successful, and look forward to the one in Vermillion opening up, but it's just,
Yeah,
it's
been
really
good.
Really,
And a shameless plug, we just opened up for two. People can come 2 times a month instead of 1.
okay,
So
wonderful. But it's sad that there's still the supply issues, you know, I mean, we're out of the pandemic, but it's just, I don't know if it's playing catch up or what, but
yeah.
so this would be great. Any questions? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the additional food bank agreement with Northern Lakes Food Bank in Duluth.
I'll second.
Moved by Shane, seconded by Tara. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Okay, Terry, you also have the Tribal Public Health Infrastructure and Capacity Data Sharing MOU. It's a long
Correct.
title.
That is a grant that we have through MDH, and there's a lot of funding coming down through grants to restructure and reinforce and rebuild public health departments. And the state has finally realized that, oh my gosh, tribes have had public health departments for years, and we rarely get funding for them. So these are specific tribal funds with the help from 2 contractors, both native owned. One is Asamake, which is owned by Chris Rhodes, and the other one, I can never remember the name, Red Star. And I'm not sure who that one's owned by, but they are hired through MDH to help us evaluate where our public health department, we call it community health here, but where our community health department is and where non-tribal departments are. Not that we want to be the same,
right,
but to see what pieces of those we would like to work on or what we want to work on within Bois Forte. So I think all the tribes are getting funding for it. So they're going to evaluate what we have, what options we have. There's plans to pull in, because public health isn't just health. It's also DNR. It's also Vonda's program. You know, so the assessment's going to pull in a few other departments.
Okay.
We haven't gotten that far yet, if anyone's wondering why they haven't been asked.
Okay.
But so we're going to sit and look at what we're offering where, and then what we want to improve on.
And the data sharing, that with the.
Yep, the data sharing means that our specific Bois Forte specific data is ours.
Okay.
That it won't be shared with other people.
Okay.
Aggregate data of all the tribes may be sent into MDH, but not our specific data. They won't be able to pick out, oh, that's Bois Forte, that's Red Lake. That, yeah.
It'll be combined aggregate data.
Combined
tribal.
aggregate.
Okay.
And we own our own data.
About time.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
It's been a long time coming.
So will they, through this data, will they then be able to, I guess, calculate or see the need for funding for tribes?
I'm hoping so.
Okay.
That's part of the thing. They're talking about that public health funding for tribes is going to be more consistent.
Okay.
And I think they're trying to make it more fair, because it hasn't been for a long time.
Okay. And you've run this agreement through Jeff?
Yes, it was approved on 6/1 by Jeff.
Okay. Tara, do you have a question? No?
I'm just wondering, well, I'll just ask right away. this little small section that says, given information contained in the MOU was a tribal resolution needed to participate in the tribal public health capacity with Red Star. Is that based on? Is it yes or no? It doesn't.
The
Do you
on
guys feel we need a tribal
signature page?
resolution? The option to sign is tribal health, but was gonna have Kathy sign if you guys voted on it, because I can't sign things.
Jeff, Jeff, are you still on? Oh, yeah. Do you think a
Yep, I'm
tribal
here.
resolution would be needed with this or?
So that's up to the council. I
Okay.
think some of these, you've signed a resolution in the past if it's, specifically if the agency wants one, but there's no requirement. So that's up to you.
Okay, did you guys want a resolution?
If we have a resolution, then I want it to be reiterated that our data stays our data in the document. So
Do you guys want a tribal resolution with this? We can have Jeff draft one if you want one.
I think so, as long as we make sure that that's what happens.
Okay. All right, so do we have a motion to approve the tribal public health infrastructure and capacity data sharing MOU, which will also incorporate a resolution in support of and also stating that the data is retained by Voice for. Moved by Tara. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Okay, Terry, we have you under Jill for the grant submission for the MCH block grant applicant conflict of interest disclosure. Holy cow, this stuff's long.
I know. So this is a new requirement that MDH is putting out on some of these grants, and it is required for every grant agreement. Well, through the department that Jill's working through anyway, because I found that MDH varies greatly from what they require.
Okay, so it depends on the.
Yep, so
the
this is
programs.
just something and in the email, it said that it's required with this grant.
Okay.
Actually, the bottom says, this form is required from every grant applicant. Please include this form with your RFP application materials.
Okay. Jeff?
And one comment real quick, just sort of based on what we were just talking about, this resolution clarifies that all data is owned and the band retains ownership. And then I had recommended some language too that to just ensure that all data that's communicated is aggregated to make sure that there's no personal information or voice for specific information communicated.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Jeff. Any questions on the MCH block grant applicant conflict of interest disclosure? Not a call for a motion to approve. Moved by Robert. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Tara. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, silent, motion carried. Good job, Terry. Thank you. Have a good day. Next, we have Teresa Drift with the resolution number 112, 2023 homeless survey. Wushu, good morning.
Good morning. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm a little nervous. So I just going to read you what I prepared here. So in regards to the Wilder survey for 2023, Boys Fort first participated in the Wilder Foundation Homeless Survey in 2006, also in 2009, 2012, and 2018. The results of the 2006 survey were the impetus for the formation of the Boys Fort homelessness programs and led to the creation of the New Moon Project. The most current Wilder study shows that homelessness has increased steadily since the first survey conducted by Wilder in 1991. Native Americans make up about 10% of the adults and 12% of those under 21 of the more than 10,000 homeless people surveyed in 2012. In
The Bois Forte Reservation Tribal Council adopted Resolution 61, 2013 in December 2012, defining homelessness on the reservation. This resolution is included in the plan to end homelessness adopted by the council in May of 2013. This plan sets out very clear goals and resources to bring housing stability to Bois Forte. Between 2012 and 2018, homeless populations on Minnesota reservations increased from 28% to 48%. Participating in the 2023 study will help us better understand the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, increasing inflation, decreasing housing units, and stagnant income on band members living throughout the state of Minnesota. Information from the survey will also help Bois Forte to shape future programs and services to better meet band member needs. Per the Wilder Foundation recommendations, we are looking at conducting a housing resource event later in the summer or early fall, where we would provide information regarding the upcoming family homelessness prevention and assistance program that we hope to have starting in October, possibly sooner, to help households with past due rent and utilities. There will be more information regarding that, as well as a resolution that'll come up later. But that'll tie in with this Wilder survey.
Sweet. Teresa, can you get that in? I'm just going to plug the Bois Forte News, or can you get that information in the Bois Forte News?
Yes,
As far as your housing resource event, that's pretty cool.
There's we're waiting on the funding. There's some Minnesota housing stuff happening. Good surprise.
I know that the legislature approved a lot of funding for homelessness, so hopefully we can relay some of that information out. From 28 to 48%, that's a huge increase, huge.
Yeah, and we've had a pandemic since then, so I imagine the numbers are higher.
I would say they would probably be higher, which is sad. And this resolution that you have here, this has been drafted by Jeff, or is it the same as the other ones?
It was reviewed by Jeff.
Okay.
And updated. Yeah.
And I know that the Wilder, it'd be nice to, if you could get us maybe just, because I'm a visual person, as I've been told, the survey, since it was first implemented, like Bois Forte's data from, you said 2006, 2009, 2012, 2018, just a spreadsheet total maybe of how that data we've seen go up, and so that would be very interesting to see.
Okay.
Any questions for Teresa?
Is the data going to be, well, the figure that you're going to create, is everything broken down into Net Lake Village, Vermilion, or any, certain sectors, or Duluth, Twin Cities, like that? Or how is it just Bois Forte as a whole?
That's a good question. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I can find out.
Okay, thank you.
Question is, well, aside from the additional information that you're going to be gathering, how's your job and stuff going otherwise?
That's fine.
Grant reporting, everything getting done on time? Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments for Teresa? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve resolution number 112, 2023 homeless survey to be conducted by the Wilder Institute.
Move.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. I have one question I forgot to ask. When is this survey going to be done?
October.
Okay.
And there is, we do have funding for it to conduct the survey. So in addition to everything else we have going on.
Thank you, Teresa.
Right. Thank you very
Keep
much.
up the
Have a
good
great day.
work. You too. Have a good day. Okay. I do not see any other business, so we added George. No. Nope. Nope. Okay. If no other business, we have a motion to adjourn. I remembered that this time.
Move.
Moved by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, Motion carried, and I want to wish everybody a good summer, and hopefully our next meeting will be on time. We do apologize again. There's all kinds of meetings and stuff going on, and it's very rare we have a Monday morning meeting, but we wish you all well and stay healthy and have a good summer. Oh, meeting adjourned at 10:52 a.m.
Also, just a reminder that the tribal government offices will be closed on Monday, so make sure to get your prescription filled. Thank you.
Yep. Juneteenth is a federal holiday, so we will be closed. We'll also be closed on July 3rd and 4th. Thank you. Have a good day. Chi Miigwech.